Unnecessary weapon systems will not make us stronger. If we are not developing and strengthening the capacity of our citizens through better education, health care, and job training, and if we are not caring adequately for our veterans and seniors who have given so much, then I fear we will fail as a nation and crumble from within, no matter how much we spend on arms. We must stop unbridled military spending and reallocate those resources to strengthen our citizens. I urge you to vote in support of this resolution and send a clear message that the citizens of Duluth have a stake in how our federal dollars are invested. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Mr. Hale Moore, followed by Justin Anderson. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Go ahead.
Thank you, President Hartman and councilors. I'm Hal Moore, living at 502 Madison Avenue in Kenwood. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. I bring forward a slightly different perspective than the other speakers. I've worked in Chicago's tough inner city schools for 16 years at all grade levels, including kids kicked out of the public schools that never expected to live to be 21. I've worked at the federal prison camp as a teacher for 18 years. And I found it continually reinforced that it's not force, but respect, interest in and humor of other people, trust in other people, that brings forth cooperation, that brings forth goodwill, and that brings forth positive attitudes rather than the other way around, which is what this country seems to have practiced through its military abroad and brought disrespect on the country. I would not argue that police and military are very necessary. I would not argue against that, but I believe it's all out of balance. We have a lot of terrible needs, urgent needs, collective needs that must be addressed here, and we need to redress this balance, and I hope you'll support this measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Our next speaker will be Justin Anderson. Our next speaker will be Scott Bull.
Hi, everybody. Quick before I start, I'm Justin Anderson. I'm a student at UMD. I realize there haven't been that many speakers before me, but they have all been white and they've all been male, and I think there are some very, very serious issues that we have to deal with here at home, and they will not be addressed with AR-15 assault weapons or 50 caliber armed gunships. I am 3 semesters in and already drowning in debt like most of my classmates, with no security of job placement upon graduating. There is a huge issue with funding of public education. Both of my parents are in education in central Minnesota. We have one of the highest graduation rates, one of the highest test rates in the nation, and we have huge problems with funding. The fact that huge proportions of our tax dollars are going towards sending young men like myself to slaughter and filling the pockets of Lockheed Martin instead of funding public education and restructuring and better funding and better educating and higher education is a huge issue. It is unsustainable and will reach a critical mass and will collapse. Anybody here thinks that the student strikes and the debt strikes in Quebec, Montreal were a problem, give it 5 or 10 years, it will be here and it will be nationwide because there will be no other option. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Our next speaker, Mr. Scott Bull, followed by Jane Karen.
Thank you, councilors, for your time, and I'm very pleased that this resolution is coming before you right now. It's also come before St. Paul and Minneapolis, And it's passed. I'll tell you, it's got a lot of strong support here. The Minnesota ASAP, the Arms Spending Alternative Project. It's a big idea. There's a lot of endorsers in the city, and there's strong support in this room. Could I have everyone that's in support of the Minnesota ASAP stand, please, just for a moment? So you can see that there's a lot of strong support. Thank you. We have to realize that this austerity talk that we're having across the nation is a false conversation. There really is money. We're not broke. We're not broke. There is funding. We've put so much into the military, as you've heard from earlier speakers. We can be safer in this nation by cutting back on our military and spending and having less spent for policing the world and more for covering our human needs. Eisenhower was right when he warned us back in 1961 about the military-industrial complex, and we have to look at this excessive Pentagon spending that we have. It's been mentioned that Minnesota alone spends $40 billion for the wars in Iran and Afghanistan. So in Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's absurd what we've been spending. We need so much here. We need jobs, libraries, parks, youth workers, streets, safe bridges, education and equity. There's so much that can be done. We need to reprioritize our budget choices, and the Minnesota ASAP is a great opportunity to look at this and change the conversation that we have in Minnesota. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. And our next speaker is Jane Karen, followed by Jack Nelson-Pallmeyer. Sorry, I got your last name right and your first name wrong. Sorry.
Close enough. Sorry. Jan Karen, 1112 South Lake Avenue. Sorry for the froggy voice. Jeff put up something I was going to do a little later, but it's so relevant. Everybody's talking about how much the United States spends. If you just scroll down, on the left is what the United States spent in, what does it say at the top, Jeff, 2012? Compared to the next 4 highest military spending countries. So you've heard people use the word absurd, what we're spending. The adjectives are just endless. So about the resolution very simply and clearly asks Minnesota state and federal representatives to, quote, make an effort. That's all it says. Would you make an effort to shift federal funding priorities from military to domestic priorities? We're asking them to just try to change something that is clearly terribly, terribly wrong with our national priorities. And perhaps many of you have already seen that chart, but I think the visual helps us. How our country spends its money is a reflection on each and every one of us. And this military spending, to some of us, is a travesty. That the U.S. spends as much as the next 19 highest spenders combined? Who are we? What do we care about? 9/11 is more than a decade behind us. Are we going to be stuck forever in the mentality that has led us to this kind of national spending priority? What has it actually bought us? Isn't it way past time to change this priority? Why would you be afraid to vote for this resolution? The resolution does not include the 148th Fighter Wing of the National Guard. It does not reduce support for veterans. It does not, according to our earlier conversation with a counselor, it does not say stop all military spending now. The resolution simply asks you to make a formal request to Minnesota representatives. Make an effort to shift spending priorities. It's true this resolution is a little different from most city council business, yet it seems to me that this really is your business and our business. Make this request so that we will be able to convert billions of dollars from military to peacetime spending for goods and services that meet the needs of the people here at home. Be bold, lead us towards this change. How about a unanimous or close to it vote on this resolution? Thank you.